Mr. Governor. At this point, let's go to our in-studio guests. If we can have one or two persons, but when those persons join us, we would expect that there will be no commentaries. The questions will be short, straight to the point. But before then, you know, Geoffrey?
Okay, I just wanted to build on some of the things that you said. It feels like the diagnostics is understood by the government. But what happens to people, because I think I was driving through Ikorodu Road and all the time. So the people that are constantly buffeted by these incidents every other year, is there something government is doing to actively help at least some level of succor for places where they feel in their own perspective that something has to be done? I'm not talking about necessarily all the coastal area that had that proximity to the water body. I mean, upland in Lagos, because it's a lot. You talked about Lekki and...
To be truthful with you, there'll be rain every year. The amount of rain that will come, given all of the climate issues that we know, that we see, will be a lot. So the question is, how proactive are we? There is no amount of proactiveness that can stop the rain from coming. And I've explained to you that also in our demography, and in the construct of how Lagos is, right? One, we're below the sea level. Two, and this is nature, that we cannot do anything. So those fundamentals are still there that we really cannot do so much about. But I will take it on as additional responsibility of government to ensure that we continue to communicate, and engage ourselves. So there's no part of Lagos that is left. There's no part of it. It's only thing that can happen is that those drainages, we have 17 System 1 drainage channels. 17. Some of them are as long as 27 kilometers, 32 kilometers, 14 kilometers that must traverse, different parts of the city. And every year we have to deseal them. We have to, cut out stuff in it. So it's a continuous exercise. But like I said, we'll continue to build more because the city also grows more. Ikorodu that you mentioned, Ikorodu is developing at a rate that is like, what's going on, right? And so we have to keep going back there. It's one of the places that I'm interested to see that how can we help in that development. The fourth mainland bridge that Dr. Abati asked, so that I mean, pretend as if I did not hear, because it's eventually coming behind Ikorodu. So this is the plan, and I'll be very, very, very honest and transparent with what we have. So we started a process to say that we wanted to do a PPP model, meaning that we'll use private funding, we'll use government funding, and we'll be able to do it. Because, see, this is the first time a subnational will be taking over, construction of that size or of that magnitude, just because we want to, change the face, of public transportation in our city. Eko Bridge is central government, Kata Bridge is central government, Third Mainland Bridge. Third Mainland Bridge did phase 1, did phase 2. They had to come down again to do phase 2, federal government. But what we said that is the audacity of belief that want to do the fourth mainland. So we started a long process. That process has taken over 3 years. There's an extensive study about battery, about data metric, and all of the big grammars, right? And we have preferred bidders that wanted to work with. But what we're seeing in the last 2 years, the dynamics of funding has changed globally, right? The kind of things they're asking of us are things that we know we cannot give of them. One, they're asking us to go and get a sovereign guarantee, meaning that we need to go and sit with the federal government, meaning that federal government needs to go to the National Assembly. So technically what it means is that federal government will be guaranteeing that, and they will not do it. We know that because it's not in their bid, it's not. So there's no point deceiving ourselves that that is going to happen. Because by the time they will say, where is the budget for it? It's not in our budget. Why would they? Because once they do it for you, why can't other 35 also states turn up and say that, come and give us? It doesn't work like that. And so we were quick to realize that with our fund and say, you know what? It's not going to work. By the way, we also don't even want this dollar funding. We want it local. Whatever it is, it's a local transaction. It's a local bridge, right? And we have to fund it locally. So on our own, what we've done is we're working with them and we're working back. So we've done extensive redesigning. creative redesigning, So there's some places where you probably want to do 8 lanes, let's do 4. There's some places where you want to do 3 levels of bridges, let's do 1, But it doesn't take away the fact that First Mainland Bridge we will do. I gave a commitment early this year, right? And I said we're going to ground break, by end of April. I'm still committing to that we will ground break before end of April 2024. Our plan is to phase the development, right, into 3 phases. It's a total of about 37 kilometers. At the end of the day, it will pass close to your station in Channel, and it will bust out on Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. That is the entire, it's like an M25, right? But we're going to take, it in doses and take water. But the bridge component, by the grace of God, we will do it. The water component, the water component that will crosses, the lagoon onto Ikorodu, we are going to do it. And so that's your Fourth Mainland Bridge, alignment for you.
All right, Mr. Governor, so that we get the input of the studio audience. So I'll read all the questions so you can respond to them at once. Just 3 questions, by the way. If you forget any, I'll remind you. This is no name on this one, but it says the last administration promised to give student loans. What are you doing about that? The second, this is from Temitope from Lateef Jakonde Leadership Academy. Says, what is Lagos doing to improve access to electricity? And then this is from Dr. Kabir Labi Garba, that's the Nigerian Guild of Editors, says, what your administration doing to improve accountability at the local government level? So those are the 3 questions.
Thank you. Well, this is a very, but I mean, so around student loan, I think what we promise is student bursary, right? And we're doing it. In fact, we're doing it even outside of the states. Godfrey, I'm sure you know that this government, right, have moved from one state university to 3 state universities in the span of 3 years. So we have 3 state universities now, meaning that we even are investing more in tertiary education than we've ever done, right? I mean, and we're happy because we've seen the future, in that space. So what we've done is every of our student in all of these tertiary universities that are, of course, is indigenship gets, a bursary award, and that we have not failed. In fact, part of the palliative that they also not mention is that we actually want to bring the bursary payment for this year. We want to bring it forward, want to bring it, closer now, so that they also have something, to work with, our students in our tertiary institution. So it's not a loan, it's a bursary that we're given, and we're still continuing, to give the bursary. And I think on education, I can just mention that we're not just stopping at these 3. Part of the challenge that we saw in our health sector is the lack of number of, professional, qualified, health practitioners, right, in Lagos. Of course, we still recruit the largest number of doctors, nurses, compared to any part of the country. But we're working with the council, with the medical council, to see an NUC, to see if they can give us an approval for a medical university for a university of medical sciences, a university of medical sciences. And it's part of our vision. Let's leave this place better than we've met it. We all talk about nurses, moving on. Can't we scale up the number of nurses, that we train? Can't we scale up the number of doctors, that we train? And the only way to do that is we believe we can also open, a medical, medical sciences university, that we believe will also help, to meet, and to fill the gap, in that sector. So that's by the way. I think the second question was around electricity from Lateef Jakonde, Leadership Academy. For my audience, yes, Lateef Jakonde Leadership Academy is another, intervention of this government to be able to train a group of fellows, over a 1-year, training, that has been done in different parts of the world on leadership. These are young Nigerians that this is the first set, after the demise of our first civilian governor in Lagos State. So there's a class size of about 35 of them or so, all of them under 35, or all of them have been picked from different parts of the country, and they are going through a 1-year fellowship, in Lagos State to be able to help them develop, not only political, economic, and leadership skills, and part of their training will also even include, study tours abroad just to see how it's done. And so they are currently working in different agencies and government offices right now, and some also will work outside. So his question is apt: what are we doing with electricity? With the unbundling of the Electricity Act, Lagos sits in a unique position. We have the 2 distribution companies, that are not entangled with any other state, Ikeja Disco and Eko Disco. We're working with them. We realize that we need to collaborate with them for us to have a lasting solution. So we have designed a Lagos State electricity bill that is gone to the House of Assembly now. And that bill fashions out how we want to unbundle and untangle the relationship that currently exists with Ikeja Disco and Eko, so that other players can come into it. We can make the atmosphere, investment friendly, and everybody can have a play in it. As compared to other states that some of the discos are tangled together in 3-4 states. Ours is unique. So the 2 of them understand that Lagos State have a big play to it. People want electricity like yesterday, and they've agreed with us. So we want to play with the relevant, regulatory, laws. We'll be setting up our own equivalent of NEC, and rest of it. And so they know that that's what we're going. So is that law that we're waiting for the House to pass? They're happy with us. They will have input into the law. And once it comes out, part of the things that you see is you see new investments coming, on both generation, and distribution. They still have, capacity to also grow, on their own. So willing buyer, willing seller concept will work, will play better. There will be a lot more investment around gas, and other alternative, sources of energy. We in Lagos State have 6 IPPs that we also have that we're running on our own. So we are even a strong enabler on independent power. So we know what all of the terrains are. But because the environment was not, that new entrant friendly, which has now been removed, we need to localize, the laws, the regulation, so that those investments, can come in. So to my dear Latif Jakonde fellow, the solution to electricity in Lagos, we are fully aware of it. We're working with the discos, and we're on the track to ensure that, it will be. And we're doing a lot also on renewables. So a lot of our street lights now, and we're turning them to LEDs so that we can off, them from the grid, and we can reduce the consumption of diesel and the rest of it, from our play. The last question is around, governance and
at the local government level.
At the local government accountability at the local government level. It's interesting because we truly understand and appreciate that there is devolution of power everywhere, right? And we appreciate that the local government administration is also an integral part of our political structure, and we respect them, at that level. For example, now, we don't even interfere in any form with their finances, and it's been said, they've also confirmed that in our 4.5, 5 years, we do not take a pin from them. However, there's a need for us, and they've appreciated, for us to work together. Their autonomy is not in doubt, right? But like you've observed, right, how those funds are also utilized, right, we all need to have a play in it. There's some approvals that they bring to me, which I look through and I approve. The Auditor General of local government also gets, I also approve the appointments on that. The Local Government Service Commission and rest of it, I also approve of that. So there's some bit of monitoring and engagement that we do, but we can do a lot better. We can do a lot better, but we respect them being an independent, elected, arm of government, right? We only can engage them and let them see that these are the needs of the people. Let them be able to, show, you know, a lot more efficiency in the utilization of funds. And I believe Lagos are doing it. I believe the local governments in Lagos are actually, I mean, they're actually, you know, putting their weights, you know, together, and we're working together. One of the ways in which, like I said, they're throwing in 114 roads, you know, and those are my instructions, and immediately they key in. You know, we want to jointly buy more vehicles for Security Trust Fund. You know, they've keyed into it. I've bought about 150, they are bringing about 114. They key into it. So we do things together in that space, you know, and it works well. You know, in parking authority, we're collaborating. In advertising, we're collaborating. In waste management, we're collaborating. And that's how it's supposed to be, you know, and we continue to encourage them, you know, to work with us because we have the interest of the populace, you know, as a driver point at the end of the day.
Mr. Governor, the questions are coming in a wave. There are 3 questions that I'm going to serve you at this time. One question is, how far have you gone with the 2021 MOU signed between your government and Ogun State government on seamless joint development? That question was by Olalere, Nigeria Express newspaper. There's another question from Kamal Mustafa from Jordan FM, and he's asking, why is there no street light anymore in Lagos? That's a tad exaggerated. But he's saying, when will you start something like Light Up Lagos project? So the third one came from our people in Oronshoki, and it says, about 7 years ago, the Lagos government embarked on an ambitious plan to transform the Oronshoki waterfront into one of the biggest water transportation terminals, tourism and entertainment hubs in Nigeria. The project has since been abandoned, and the abandoned project has had a tremendous negative impact on the well-being and properties of people living in the Okokol area of Bariga LCDA. The Sanfield waterfront is higher than the existing layout of the area, thereby causing excessive flooding of residential areas whenever it rains. And the mentioned areas greatly affected are Olabode Aluko Street, Francis Olatunji Street, Gerald Ayame Street, and Adebari Street, all in the Oronshoki area.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you for those questions. I mean, I think this is really what I want to get to achieve, an opportunity for our citizens to freely be able to, I mean, express themselves, engage us, you know what we're doing, and we, you know, in similar mind, also tell them what our challenges are, where we are, and how can we jointly, you know, solve our common challenges and issues in Lagos. The first question, I imagine, was around MOU with Ogun State. So in terms of physical implementation, you might not see it, but operationally it's working. And what do I mean? We have that unwritten engagement between ourselves. We've seen collaboration between ourselves and Ogun State in terms of emergency response. We've seen engagement between ourselves in terms of, I mean, traffic management, you know, fiscal planning approvals, you know, land acquisition. A lot of the time, we move in and out of our both jurisdiction, especially Lagos moving into Ogun State jurisdiction to be able to get permission, solve some problems, you know, and pull back. You know, and a few times too, they've called on us, you know, and we've responded, you know, almost, you know, immediately. But outside of that, His Excellency, my brother Dapo and I, also, you know, engage ourselves further on the Ota, I mean, Lagos Ota corridor, for example. We're jointly looking at it, you know, to see how we can, you know, finish up, you know, that development. Is a federal government role, but we're jointly looking at it. Last week, I just got a letter from him. I told you about the red line, that the red line got into Agbado. Agbado is Ogun State. He just sent me another letter to say that how can we further strengthen it and push it to, he mentioned the proper land. He mentioned the name of the place, but our commissioners of transport have started engagement you know, in that line. I also mentioned, you know, the rice. We have 500 hectares of land in Ogun State, you know, to cultivate it. So it might not appear as if, you know, you are seeing anything, but right underneath, you know, we understand, we appreciate that we have to collaborate. I have no other neighbor. Outside of Atlantic Ocean, it's only Ogun State. So I have to continue to go back to them to ensure. In fact, the three of us, we also said, Ogun, Oyo, and ourselves, how do we ensure that we have full power on Lagos-Ibadan Express Road? Full, all lit up. We're looking at the proposal to be able to, you know, do that and ensure that the whole place, you know, is all is lit up and people can move, you know, 24/7 without, you know, without any. So all of that is happening, and it might not appear as if we're coming out to cut the tape, but we're working. You know, I mean, we have letters that we're. I mean, I'm doing water project in Adiyon too. I needed to get like a 8-kilometer right of way into Ogun State. We got it. We paid compensation. We've almost finished that, the laying of those pipes. You know, so we don't have a choice. We have assets that are inside Ogun State that we'll continue to keep, and we see that synergy working. But maybe
there are projects that you can jointly fund, because a lot of your staff are resident in Ogun.
And I write them a check every month. on a layer. Well, I mean, we're talking. You know, we're actually talking, and like I said, the real project are some of the ones that we can jointly do. The Lagos Ijebu, you know, Epe road as well is another one. We did our road up to the border of Ogun State, and because it was a beautiful, I mean, dual carriage. The governor also took up the challenge and was able to also further extend it. He put a toll plaza. We said we're going to both share the revenue of the toll plaza, you know, and so those are some of the things that we continue to engage ourselves in. There are farmlands that we have inside of their state that we're, you know, jointly developing. And it takes me to the question around, you know, light up. You know, I just talked about we also lighting up, you know, the full express road. You know, it might appear as if it's not. What you see is that some of the lighting that we do, right, they usually have a lifespan. You know, some of those bulbs, you know, needs to be changed after some time. But more importantly, which is very, very important, I would say, there is always a lot of pilfering. No, what's the word now? Sabotage. You know, sabotage. Yeah, and on our cables. You know, you will see that we have. You know, I mean, cables that have been laid for street lights. People go and cut those cables. We've cut 2 days ago. We caught somebody removing, you know, iron on our rail 2 days ago. So we've caught several people. So sometimes what we do is that those cables, we don't let them go beyond a certain. We'll just be joining them so that it doesn't become, you know, interesting for them. So sometimes. These are some of the things that you see, and we'll keep going back to join. We keep going back to fix. There are people that are just vandalizing, you know, some of our street lights. They will rip off the wire, even inside, you know, the poles themselves, you know. But we will continue to ensure that we go back and fix it. We'll continue to ensure that, and that's why I mentioned that we're actually even changing them from cable to LEDs and to solar lights, so that you cannot go there and change. So, but it's a lot of money, and it's something that we have to do, you know, with intermittently. The third question around Oworoshoki, it's a very valid question. I mean, everybody sees, you know, that there's a huge, you know, sand filling there. We have not, you know, finalize what we want to do there. The objectives at that time, right, in my view, and in the reason of we looking at it, had not worked out very, very well. You know, the logistics of even getting to the place, even right from Third Mainland Bridge and rest of it, was a bit, you know, was a bit untidy. Yeah. So we needed to think it through very well. You know, and other options around, do you put a small housing estate there? Do you use that to trigger, you know, an investment, you know, for the transportation, you know, hub there? And the rest of it are conversations that we're trying to think through. And it also affects, you know, the jetty that we have on the other side, around Bariga. But I will ask, the Minister of Environment to go and look at the streets that have been mentioned,
yes,
on the Bariga side, and see how we can, do proper, either embankment or do proper, we can reseed the thing or just do shoreline protection, for them, so that they don't need to go through some of these challenges. But we know there are a few proposals we have on the table, but we're looking for the best, one that will meet, the needs of what we see there, and there have been one or two issues with even the locals that will resolve, that is not needed, at this forum.
Okay, Mr. Governor, your infrastructural drive is obvious in all of the sector, on the roads, transportation, housing, health. The one major issue that's always been a problem has been the lack of maintenance culture, maintenance particularly. You have put in a lot of work, investment, even from London, from Morocco to China, and these infrastructures are there to make life better for people. Now, do you have plans and policies that are going to be put in place to ensure that these infrastructures, are there for a long time and are maintained and, go through the test of time?
Thank you. I mean, it might appear as if we're not up to speed in terms of maintenance, but that's not really what happens. Sometimes it is the bureaucracy of government that also can slow down, ability to respond fast enough, because even ability to get money out and be able to, get the needed maintaining agencies to it. But we have the structures. We have LASIAMA, which is, a Lagos, infrastructure is an old agency. We have the public works, which is a whole, agency of government. Those are some of the things they've been saddled with. We have EFAN, which is a whole agency of government on the drainage side. So all of those institutions are there, right? All of those institutions are there. The only thing that could also appear as if they're not is their plan, on how often they need to do those maintenance, those maintenance routine, right? And part of the things that we've said to them is that we'll continue to, ensure that they can front load and plan ahead. They cannot be reacting. They have to be proactive. It's not only when, the glass has got all dirty before you go. So they must have regular, scheduled and unscheduled maintenance. It's not, only when things are there. But the agencies are there. The parameters are there. Part of the things that we've said to them is that in the same way that we're paying for, road and rest of it, the same way we're building the cost for maintenance. And it's also embedded in some way, in the new, infrastructure that we're building. When we do a new hospital, for example, now, cost of, ensuring that a facility manager is there is always embedded there, so that the first few years, somebody is on top of it before it passes on, to those agents, and will ensure that the period of retainership, the period of guaranteeing to ensure that everything is done is not left. So we're doing the best. One of the things that we'll probably take away from here is that we'll probably just need to continue to train and retrain, so that people can, live up to those expectations. And these are the feedbacks that we hear from Lagosians, that in terms of maintenance, be more proactive, be more, out there doing this. But we'll have the structure and we'll have what it takes to do it.
Well, Governor, Lagos is doing very well with capital importation, over 65%, I think. But there is, it looks like there is one sector that the Lagos state government doesn't seem to be enthusiastic about, and that's the tourism sector. I mean, this is a state that has great potential for tourism. What do you think? Why is that so? And what are you doing specifically for the creative economy also?
So Dr. Abati, for the first time, I will disagree with you on that, because I will give you information that would confirm that. For example, this last December, it's been said in various quarters that it's been the most, tourists, or it's been most, the word to use, fun-filled, December that we've had, this entire, festive period, in which we have more diaspora returnees, in which we'll have more guests and visitors entering Lagos, that they've seen in a very, very, very long. These are empirical statistics that we got, even from all of the, tourist destinations, the hoteliers, and the rest of it. And I think it was also one of the things that led to even the timeout, scaling us and telling us that we're doing well, and 2024 we should actually even do better. And, if you remember, Dr. we actually, last year, did the groundbreaking, for a film city, in Ekwe. For tourism, it has to be consistent, investment that you will see year on year before it begins to envelope up, We believe that the potentials are not just there. Lagos is deliberately, trying to let people be aware. I'll give you examples, In November coming this year, there are about 3 different things that you see, the Art of X exhibition, the fashion exhibition, the food exhibition. These are all interventions that we support year on year. The J. Randall Museum, several people have gone there, but we're going to open it up generally to the public very, very soon. It's also meant to, scale up, our tourism potentials. Yes, the opportunities are there. More investment could actually come in. I take that, but as a government, we're not unmindful of it. And we're not losing out on that verticals. We're actually creating, an enabling environment where it strives. We're supporting the creative industry, training them. Del York, Ebony Life, Ogidi Studios. Last year and the year before, we trained over 10,000. That we paid all of their, their costs of training them. Each one of them cost us over $1 million, each of the trainers. Train them in acting, in cinematography, in editing, just so that the entire ecosystem of tourism, entertainment, creative industry, we don't leave them alone. We deliberately fund them. And they are all Nigerian companies that have international, the AMA award. Every year on year, we support all of them, right? Beyond that, we also set up a fund to support, people in that industry, small videos, small videos. We gave them grants, of 10 million, 20 million, 40 million to do small short videos. All of those things we did. But to agree with you that there's still a lot of investment that is needed there. We need to have so many hotels, so many, investment on our coastline, about 180 kilometers of clear, Atlantic coast, beaches, that Lagos is known for. The private sector are actually also leading in it. There are several beaches that you see in Lagos, during the Christmas. I also, went around some of them, and indeed, they're doing. So government can continue to be an enabler, continue to give them, that opportunity to do well, and you also know that in the music industry, we are a major supporter of all of them, directly and indirectly. The last Grammy that some of them even went, we sent people there to also go and encourage them. So the entire spectrum of that industry, it's a vertical that I'm also very interested in. And we usually, it might not be seen, but we usually give all of them grants for them to continue to live it, because we know that it's tough for them. But in terms of additional infrastructure, yes, indeed, we need more hotels. We need more, tourist attraction. Badagry, for example, there's a conversation around some diaspora, some people, from Brazil that want to also come to the Badagry side. We're also cleaning up all of our investment in that place, point of no return. Something happened also in November. A whole team, they all came down, to go and look at what we have, in Badagry, and a lot of exchange, cultural exchange is also being done. So yes, there is opportunity for more. Yes, there is a growth potential for more, but it's not that we're not, putting, and the right investment or the right set of people. We have a commissioner of tourism that she's everywhere. She's running everywhere to ensure that, that sector is not left behind, because we appreciate the potentials that are there, especially also for our diaspora audience. By the way, we also just set up another office, a diaspora office. We're the first to also do that after the federal government. It's a full agency, just to show that we are, we're monitoring them and we appreciate what they're doing.
Mr. Governor, I think we have less than 10 minutes, so let's see how we can pack all of this before we take your final words to Lagosians. Lagos is doing pretty well in terms of IGR. Everybody knows that. And also is the least dependent on FAC, barely 25%. But that's kind of blindsides a lot of people to Lagos debt burden, which if you do the external and the domestic debt burden, it crosses over the entire budget of 2.2 trillion. So what is your government doing to bring down that number before you leave office in the next few years? And somebody's also asking your preparations ahead of the inauguration for the Red Line and how far the phase 2 of the
Red Line,
the Blue Line has gone before we take your final word.
Okay, thank you very much. So, I was once a banker, so I never get scared, of numbers, and I never get scared of what borrowing is. The question around burden, is what is your sustainability and what lines of investment are you putting, those burdens to, right? If you're using borrowing to advance economic development, what you're doing essentially, right, is that you are making your tomorrow better than today. Because you can imagine if, for example, we did not take the risk during COVID to have invested in the Red Line and the Blue Line, it will be stories. Not only will we not be able to do it today, right, we would have lost that completely, and it will have just been a mirage that indeed a government came and they talked about a rail infrastructure, but they were not audacious enough to take the risk. We took it. The only risk that we said that we did not want to take was a currency risk. And we said to them at that time, I will not take dollar. I will take a local currency, but I'll work with you to ensure that we deliver it. The good news is that we see rail, we see trains, and we're happy that we've done that. So the challenge around is 2 trillion. It's just a number. Indeed, the capacity of Lagos, we should be doing 20 trillion. Let me tell you, in the last budget, when we pulled all of our numbers together, my people were saying to me that they want a budget of 6 trillion. Guess what? We can only do 2. So that goes to show you the strength and the capacity that the state needs to. We need to be able to double the civil service. We need to be able to provide all of those roads that we're talking about. So we shouldn't even be scared about those numbers. The issue would be, what are we doing with those numbers? Where are we applying them to? For as long as you said, we're not using them to pay salaries, we're not using them to buy diesel, we're using them for economic development that will enhance the future of these states. So we will not be scared about that. We will always be transparent to show what we have used, because money that you don't spend today, right, or investment you don't make today, in 5 years' time it becomes 4 or 5 times more expensive, and it has been shown, it has been proven all of the time. So take the risk, be very calculative, measure it, make sure that there are risks in which you will not be trapped, into default. So that take it in a way in which is well spread, and you do creative financing, that can take you, out of it at the end of the day. So we will not, be concerned about that. We continue to build a lot more. When people see it, there's also a willingness for them because people, you always ask yourself which one first. People will say to you they want service first. We want to see the road before we pay the tax. So you have to ensure that you can creatively build the road so that they get the tax. So that's the balancing that we put to it. Regarding the commencement of the Blue Line, we've actually started the phase 2 of the Blue Line, which is from mile 2 all the way to Okokomaiko. So that has started. CCCC are on site. They're working. You might not see it. They're demolishing a bridge by next week. They're demolishing a bridge by Trade Fair. They're going to build another bridge in that place, for example. By Trade Fair. They're going to build another bridge there. They are doing all their preparatory, because the beauty of the phase 2 is that is on grid, meaning that it's at the level, it's at level crossing. So they will do it quicker and faster. In 2 years, we should, based on funding, we should be able to complete, the phase 2, of the Blue Line. And regarding the phase 2 of the Red Line, we're also trying to raise, the funding strategy that will push to it, because that one is elevated. It's a bridge, we'll cross over Eco Bridge before it goes to Marina. So these are all major, massive investments that we're committed to. And we're looking for how to best fund it and get it on board for our people.
Well, Governor, I think at this point, let's begin to draw the curtain. We have less than 5 minutes to go. So what other promises do you want to make to the people of Lagos State who are listening to you about the present and the future?
And to Nigerians who are saying, a being power, what do you have to say?
Thank you, thank you. Well, first really is to thank all of you and to thank, my viewers. For me, it's been a daily review, a daily assessment of, I ask myself at the end of the day, how well have you served Lagosians? How sincere have you been to the oath that you swore to? How well have you ensured that, the life of the people that you see on the street, you can indeed bring about policies that will make it better for them? And my charge with you is really for all of us to know that, yes, there are difficult times, there are hard times, but believe me, at the end of our times, there will also be glorious time. But it's not just to fold our arms and believe and expect that the glorious time is just going to drop on us. No, it's really by hard work. It's by a sense of shared commitment, and the resilience for all of us to pull through, even during those challenging times. And that's why I want to encourage all of us to say to ourselves that, a call for civil unrest or strike or something is certainly not the solution. So think through it. So you burn down a bus. That's the government assets that you've lost completely. You go down and destroy a building, be it either public or private. That is an asset that is not usable again. But guess what? The very next day, it still doesn't change the cost. So that's why I'm going to plead with all of us to let us work together. As your incident commander, I'm giving you the commitment that with the committees and the advisory pool that we're putting together, it's a bipartisan engagement. We want everybody that have an idea to come and sit with us, tell us straight that this and this is not working. Do it this way. Let us share in the ideas that can ensure that we take ourselves collectively out of, the challenges that we find ourselves. And to also say that these challenges are not peculiar to us. It's certainly not by the fact that we're from a black nation or something. No, it's a global thing. There's been disruption everywhere. But when we believe that, hard times is for hard people to move out, we will get out of this. And I want to say that for us as a government, we're committed. We're committed and we have what it takes, for us to work out of this together. In terms of promises, it's really just to say to you that we will continue to do everything within our means, that the greatest good is for the greatest number. Lagosians are resourceful people. Lagosians are hardworking people. Lagosians are, commercially driven self-starters. That's what I want all of us to build back on. That's what prosperity can do for our city. That's what the Lagos story is all about. Like you keep saying, that Lagos is the very best of all of us. And so let's go out there and let's believe that we can work it and we can work it together.
Thank you very much, Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, Governor of Lagos State. And that brings us to the end of this edition of Sanwo-Olu Speaks. Thank you for watching.
And so I want to say thank you to Governor again, as well as all our colleagues. Dr. Ruben Abati, almost forgot all of us. from Arise News, Shola Kosoko from LTV, as well as Babajide. I almost said Sanwo-Olu. That would be a mistake. But Tito, you are predicting that will be the next governor. From TV Studios. And I'm Jeffrey Uzama from Channels Television. So let's just have the photograph. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.
It's been wonderful.